presidential historian Allan Lichtman. Allan, thanks for your time. Jimmy Carter, 39th President of the United States, a Nobel Prize winner. He came from humble beginnings. He was a peanut farmer who became president. What comes to mind when you think of him? What is his legacy?
His legacy is an enormous one. Look, he wasn't the world's greatest president, but he did have a number of very notable accomplishments. Of course, the Camp David Accords, the Panama Canal treaties, the SALT II treaty, the establishment of the Departments of Energy and Education, the movement towards energy conservation and deregulation. As you note, of course, he was plagued by the phenomenon of stagflation, high inflation and high unemployment, and the disaster of the Iran hostage crisis. But as he said, his life is not defined only by those 4 years. He is certainly by far the greatest former president, and probably the most moral man ever to be president. Today, Donald Trump claims to secure the support of evangelical Christians. But Jimmy Carter lived the life of a devout evangelical Christian, the most devout president we've ever had, and by far the greatest former president. Through the Carter Center, he monitored elections. He helped eradicate horrible, crippling, killing diseases in Africa and Asia. He worked tirelessly for peace around the world. He was instrumental in Habitat for Humanity, building homes for the needy. He well deserved his Nobel Peace Prize, and his legacy is an enormous one. I also, if you want to hear it, have a personal story about Jimmy Carter that casts light about the man that nobody knows.
We'd love to hear it.
Yes. In 1979, I was running in the Catoctin Mountains 10-kilometer run right near Camp David. And I looked to my left, and there just a few yards from me is this skinny, pale guy who looked like he was in his underwear. And I'm saying, oh my God, that's President Jimmy Carter. I can run with him. But I'm thinking, no, I want to try to win the race. Well, it turns out that is the most difficult 10K race. It's 5Ks down and 5K up. And that's the infamous race where Jimmy Carter collapsed. And the story was this was emblematic of his presidency. But here is the untold story that casts light on what an extraordinary human being he was. After the race, they have a gathering where they give awards out to those who did well in the race. And guess who showed up without any press, without any fanfare? Jimmy Carter, after his collapse, and gave us just an extraordinary, uplifting pep talk. And that's what people should have focused on, because that much better defines the man than his collapse, which is not surprising in that kind of race.
It's a great story and an extraordinary human being indeed. We've heard tributes today from both the current president and the incoming president. Firstly, I'll start with Joe Biden. He said today America and the world lost an extraordinary leader, statesman and humanitarian. Donald Trump, the president-elect, said the challenges Jimmy faced as president came at a pivotal time for our country, and he did everything in his power to improve the lives of all Americans. For that, we all owe him a debt of gratitude. Allan, in this divided political climate, what was it about Jimmy Carter that garnered so much respect from both sides?
That he was a supremely moral man. He wasn't the greatest, politician in terms of getting a second term, but he always thought about humanity, about advancing human rights, about making life better for people, not just in the United States, but all over the world. He never thought so much about himself as about others, kind of embodying what I see the best of the evangelical Christian spirit. And in this time, as you say, of polarized, even toxic, even violent politics, it would do well for us to reflect on the legacy of this supremely moral humanitarian man and maybe try to be more like in the spirit of Jimmy Carter than in the spirit of the political warfare we see today.
He said, we heard his words before, he said he wanted people to associate the words peace and human rights with his name. Do you think that his work through the Carter Centre, that impacted the lives of millions of people, the work will continue, of course. Do you think that that is going to be his enduring legacy as well?
Absolutely. As I said, he is our greatest former president, using his celebrity, his knowledge, his supreme love for humanity to devote himself, as you say, to democracy, to peace, to human rights, and really making an extraordinary impact, even not having the power of the presidency, but having the power of his energy, his drive, and his extraordinary vision for humanity. He really is a unique figure in all of American history for what he accomplished with the Carter Center and his multifaceted activities post-presidency.
All right, Allan Lichtman, presidential historian, we have to leave it there, but we appreciate your time and your story as well. Thanks so much for coming on and talking to us today.